Hello everyone, welcome to Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I am Terry Ikumi. Before Nigeria began its battle with the invisible yet lethal enemy in the new coronavirus, it had contended with a number of heavy security threats which have shaken not only its territorial integrity but also tested its sovereignty as a nation. Boko Haram is now an old, tangible adversary which has wrought untold damage and havoc in the northeast region of Borno, Yobe and Adamawa in the last decade, causing thousands to lose their lives and about 2 million more their homes. As if that was not enough, there's now also rife criminality and banditry, which is threatening the peace of the northwest region. Only on Sunday this week, the Nigeria Police Force confirmed the death of 47 people as a result of attacks on villages in Katsina State. You may want to add these threats to a mix of kidnappings and general lawlessness, which has been felt all over the country, with dire consequences. In the midst of this pandemic, how is the battle of these fronts as being waged by the Nigerian government affected? We speak tonight with the Director of Defense Information, Major General John Enenche. General, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you, my dear.
Very curious to find out from you how the military is handling these battles. The military is fighting quite so many battles already, and then there's a raging pandemic. How is this new pandemic affecting the war against insurgency and criminality?
Thank you very much, Terry Ikumi. And I want to state here that ordinarily some people, just like from other climes, the various press briefings I've had, people wondered whether we have enough resources, particularly manpower, to support the country in these areas. And I said yes. Why? Because the troops, the people, the forces we have out there managing the security challenges aside from the COVID-19 that we are on now are people that we call those that are for the kinetic operations. And what do I mean by that? Those are in the war fronts, in the conflict zones that are fighting. Those ones are not the troops we are using for, or we are going to use, or rather we are already using for the COVID-19 effort. The ones that we are using for COVID-19 effort, we call them those that are left out of battle, and then those that are garrisoning the various formations across the country. And we have enough of them to handle the COVID-19 effort. So that is how the Armed Forces of Nigeria is managing these challenges, both the health challenges and the security challenges.
We'll talk in depth about the COVID-19 aspect of this war, but let's talk about the Boko Haram case now. What's the true situation of the war against Boko Haram? I ask this because if you recall that in January, the UN and the EU declared a humanitarian crisis in that region and they called for a political solution. Is the military solution failing?
No. The military solution is not failing at all. I say that because as I speak with you, if you take an analysis of where we were in 2015, cutting all through up to where we are now, the difference is so clear and sharp. Now, as it were, then the insurgents and then the terrorists and all their accomplices, they had control of 17 local governments in the whole of the Northeast. As it is now, not even one. And now the movements to a large extent has been, freed up, such that you could move, and then we are in charge of the main supply routes, we call them MSRs, from one location to the other, particularly the capital areas. So I can say that, look, it is not failing. Of course, sometimes the expectations or the expectation of people might not have been met, but the simple reason there is that the general crisis, the general security challenge transformed or metamorphosed from one form to the other. What we had initially was insurgency. We want a whole area carved out for ourselves as caliphate, which to a reasonable extent they achieved before 2015. But when this set of service chiefs came on board, the whole thing changed with the strategies put in place. And these strategies are being implemented sub by sub. We started with decimation, which was totally achieved. Now domination, which is being achieved. And I tell you that it's not failing because we are getting towards the occupation phase, whereby the whole area can become occupied with surveillances all over, and then we patrol it. And that we are achieving.
The Chief of Army Staff is at the war front as we speak.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
He's still there. It's been there a while, and there's no telling how long he'll be there.
Yeah.
Now, it does appear that the morale of the troops have been boosted by this. Is that the case?
Definitely.
And it also suggests that his presence there stems from the fact that the Chadian offensive was able to achieve quite significant progress in the fight against Boko Haram.
Well, that analysis is subject is subject to military analysis, which I would say that now let me take it off from. It's not because the Chief of Army Staff is in the Northeast now, directing the operations of the land forces, that their morale is high. He has been doing it. He was appointed July 15th, 2015, and the following day he was in the area of operation. If you can recollect, and he was even ambushed and he dealt with them, and on one leg of his principles, strategies, administrative strategies is visit to the troops on the ground, enshrined under leading from the front. For the fact that he comes to Abuja once in a while does not mean that he's here in Abuja, but he is all over the place. So I want to say that his visit is not because
this is only the second time that he has relocated to the northeast, following after the first time where a few days after the president was sworn in for the first term, and he asked him to relocate to the northeast. This is only the second time, and you have also said that you've recorded quite some recent successes.
You see, the thing is, it follows an overall plan. Overall strategy.
There are also speculations that he's at the war front now because of the Chadian offensive, which was led by the president, Idris Deby.
It's not true. I can tell you that it's not true. It is in his style of leadership, quality leadership, principled leadership, that he goes there to direct the operation from time to time, and he will do it. In short, this time around, you saw the address that was aired, that I will ensure and I will be with you. The other day, you saw it on the air also. After they took over a location, the chief of training and operations was there representing him, meanwhile it was another location. So it is not because of what happened. I can say that it's because of his style of leadership, of leading from the front and always ensuring that you boost the morale of your troops.
General, what's the true state of our relationship with members of the multinational joint task force, specifically Chad? Because the Chadian government has threatened to pull out of that multilateral agreement because, according to them, it seems they're shouldering all the burden of fighting the insurgents. In fact, the Chadian president did say in a statement that he questions how Boko Haram has been able to, pass through areas that are supposedly controlled by other countries and made their way into Chad.
Okay. The response to that is supposed to be very elaborate. But I can only talk on the area that, concerns us, because the Directorate of Defense Military Operations is supposed to be concerned with all the operations within Nigeria and not to go beyond the shores of Nigeria. You rightly said it's a multinational joint effort, for the 4 Lake Chad Basin countries, and then Republic of Benin as an observer, Chad, Niger, Cameroon, and Nigeria. And such an issue is supposed to be handled at the Ministry of Defense level. So I will kindly request that we get in touch with them, and then so that the appropriate person can address it. But however, I want to point out that in Nigeria, if you talk about the Boko Haram, people that have surrendered, people that have been captured, I can talk on that. It is not only Nigerians that we find amongst them. I've been to Operation Safe Corridor camp, where I work with them directly, also been under media operations. And I have seen other nationals there, including Chadians who surrendered, Cameroonians, and then Nigerians, all there.
We cannot deny how important every member of that joint task force is.
Yes.
You know that the Chadian government, in fact, the Chadian military rescued about 100 Nigerian military men, Nigerian soldiers, recently from Boko Haram attack. Is there an engagement?
I don't have that information, but I can tell you that there is engagement between the Chadians, all the members of the multinational joint task force and Ministry of Defense. They have engagement
to keep them at the table.
Yes.
General, on the 1st of April, the leader of the Boko Haram sect issued a statement where he urged his men to stand firm and assure them that they will win this fight. About 3 weeks later, you said at a press conference that the body language of the same man suggests that he is planning to surrender. What changed in between?
Well, there is, you see, when you talk about this, you talk about the realities on the ground, then when you process it, then you make statements in the media. All those ones, as far as we have psychologists, we monitor them, all they do. Now, what the video that was released, was it genuine? And then the information that we got, human intelligence, like I told you.
Which of the videos are you talking?
No, there's something that he said 3 weeks ago that they should not give up to talking to his men. All those videos are subject to forensic analysis.
Which have not been done
Which
yet.
have not been done. So based on that, we felt that they were just circulating these things. And then even though we had human intelligence, technical intelligence from other sources, which I am supposed to protect on the air, that they are making moves through international organizations. And that is what we call the body language in media operations.
To surrender.
To surrender, which may not be true. There may be flukes. And that was why I told them body language. Because, of course, he has his own agents, he has his sources also that are monitoring you. So he needs to be told loud and clear.
So what happens if that is true and he actually offers a surrender?
If he wants to surrender, there's a procedure for surrendering under international conventions if you're already in combat. They should know it, or if he doesn't know, they will tell him. How would they tell him? His people that have been surrendering, he's monitoring it. We are sure he monitors them. How do they surrender? There's a procedure. Go to the military station, military checkpoint, where they are, lay down your arms, and then identify yourself. Then they take you in as a prisoner of war. That is in the context of the actual war. But in the conflict, yes, we take you as a prisoner of the conflict and then treat you as such.
So if the leader of the Boko Haram sect offers to surrender, his offer will be accepted?
If he surrenders through the procedure, yes, he will be accepted, and then he will pass through the procedure or being profiled, taken into custody, and all the necessary other procedures follow.
All right, let's turn our attention now to the northwest. Zamfara has suffered its own share of banditry, and a number of states have followed. We have Sokoto, we have Kebbi, we also have Niger, we have Katsina. The northwest seems to be coming under attack of criminality and banditry. Why has it been so difficult for the military to put down these armed gangs?
Yes, I am not surprised that you're asking that it's so difficult. Well, you will say it's difficult, but from the reactions, from the responses, from the results we are getting from there, it's not difficult in a way. But now, from your perspective and the general perspective, so because it's today you kill 31, tomorrow you get other enemies from that area. That issue has been rooted for a long time. And you know that anything that has depth, it also takes effort to pull out. That is what I can explain. Because it was, you recollect that there was even a time that they were known in the environment. It's like people were just cooperating with them. You pay pay charges, pay levies, they levy them until it got to the truth before it was reported. And of course, you know, in the military, in short, you don't even just go out on your own just because you are hearing. But of course, the thing came into limelight, came to the tables for the military to tackle through the ministry, through the appropriate authorities, and then that was when we started. So it will take time. Actually, it's just like insurgency and terrorism. It's resilient. Where people have become used to eating. You know, we used to hear, when we were even small, we used to hear about people stealing cows. That was about 50 or 30 years ago. It's today now that I know that it's called cattle rustling. The thing will just disappear. So that is it. So it's because of the way it was rooted, that is why it is appearing like this. But I tell you that with the force we are mounting, with the pressure we are mounting, with the strategy that is we are applying.
Have we been able to link banditry and Boko Haram? Are they connected?
They are not connected directly in a way it cannot be proved now, but from the characteristics of the way they are operating, you could see that they are operations. Yeah, you could see that the weapons they are using for banditry now is beyond the normal personal weapon. Personal weapon, I mean the AK-47 and the likes, submachine guns and all. You can see that they are now using general purpose machine gun. So in the same thing all over. So that is what I can say. But to actually say, look, it is the same insurgents that have gone here, except we continue to observe and see, and then as we profile them, from the profiling so far, those who have surrendered, there is none that has said, look, I was a Boko Haramist or I was in ISWAP. None yet. Until that is gotten after proper profiling and then investigation, interrogation, then we can tell the world that.
All right, then let's take a quick break. And when we return, with all the current battles of the military, can it still intervene if called upon to enforce a lockdown in these times? We'll find out in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Our guest tonight is the coordinator of the defense media, Major General John Enenche, and we're talking about Nigerians' many battle with insurgents and bandits amidst a raging pandemic. General, the rains are almost here. We know that this is the time when the Boko Haram insurgents gain more ground. It almost relapses the successes recorded before the rains. How are we approaching this now?
We are approaching it positively. We are approaching it well prepared. Because what we do is that there's what we call mission review. We review every action that we take. After the review, where are the areas we need to make improvements, we identify them, which is done on regular basis. For instance, the way we operated for the last rainy season, we would have reviewed it, we reviewed it, and we're now going to put measures in place, which are already in place. So I can confidently say that those are particularly in the area of equipment and amongst others, which is usually the major issue.
All right, let's talk about the COVID-19 pandemic now. The military did not envisage something like this, that it would be helping out with production of personal protective equipment and some ventilators as well. How's the military handling this at this time, especially because I understand that there was a conversation from the military urging the state governors to patronize them in the production of some of these items. How's that going?
Yes, it is just like any other ministry, department, and agency of government. That is how the armed forces is also run. For the issue of production of personal protective equipment, amongst others, that the Defense Industries Corporation is set to do, we have to rely on funding from those that will require them, and that is the way we are doing it.
I'm also particular about how much of these protective equipment is extended to your troops at the war front, because the truth is there's been a fatality case from COVID-19 in the Northeast, a humanitarian worker, and we know that the military interacts with the humanitarian workers as well as the different communities there. How are you protecting your troops against COVID-19?
In all fairness, when the COVID-19 issue came up, the directive that was given by the Presidential Task Force was passed down immediately from the defense headquarters to the services and down to the lines of, those fighting in the front, everywhere. And as I speak with you, all those measures are in place. You talked about protective PPEs. In all fairness, we are giving some PPEs from the central store. I mean, what I mean by central store, the central pool, what the PTF was giving out when we were asked, when we presented our lines of action to them, and they discovered that, look, we have 80% that we have prepared. We collected those equipment and then gave them before they went out. So we are fully prepared.
Okay, well, let's talk about the lockdown now. What's the level of involvement of the military in the enforcement of the lockdown order of the president?
Yes, our level of involvement is that directives we are giving out and to be on standby. And after a while, when the issue of hoodlums came up, terrorizing, antagonizing people in the Lagos and environs of Ogun State and all, we now also went to the next level of directing our troops to provide the necessary support to the Nigerian police and other security agencies. But in the lockdown, you may discover that you'll be seeing some military men participating. Those military men that you are seeing participating with other security agencies are those that are with Operation Mesa. That is the operation to support the various state governments in internal security. Those ones are integral to the state. So that is the level of our participation. Those of our men that are already with Operation Mesa, they are participating. And then those that are on second line support, they are there also.
What's the update on the soldiers that threatened to rape women and kill people in Delta State? Because
the update is as it is now. The army, it became an administrative issue, and it was a good thing that the army, came out and say, and they arrested them. So those ones, the issue with such a thing is that you should handle it such that you avoid redress. You know, this thing came on air. So there is what we call the summary and abstract of evidence. All those evidences, you need to collect them carefully, and I believe the army is doing it.
What kind of evidences are you talking about?
No, the evidence is that it was a clip that they threatened from somewhere. Where is that place? Now the soldiers have been arrested. Now they need to confirm from one place to the other. That's what I'm... See, in the military, we are so meticulous.
So what's the update? Where exactly are we with that?
Well, it's at the army level now. That has gone from where I can give you information to army level. It's now an administrative issue. Law in the army, disciplinary action is administrative.
So here's why we try to be emphatic with things like this. Even the military will admit that the civil-military relationship seems to be suffering some strain, and that's because of a lack of trust at some point. For example, the case of Chad, it was reported that the Chadian military killed 1,000 Boko Haram members, and it was well received, even in Nigeria. But then we heard that the Nigerian military killed 150 Boko Haram members, and that was not really accepted. It was doubted fully, and people were calling for evidence, pictures. It just shows a level of distrust at this point. Don't you agree?
Yes, the level of distrust is something that has got to do with, will I say, human nature. That is what I will tell you about the Nigerian. I have followed it even before I became DDI, and after DDI up till now. From what I see on my table, from the information I get from the field, from the one that comes, flies out from people who are not even at the scenes of the incidents or the operations, it became clear, and I need to tell the public that there are people who have made up their minds. Whatever you do military, you are not there. You are not good. I would say it's rather unfortunate, and that is why this Directorate of Media Operations was, formed. It's just like a reform from what we have, so that we can now come up.
So is the military absolving itself of every blame?
Yes, to a large extent. I would say so, to a large extent. Otherwise, how do you find it? Somebody have a particular program on some televisions only to come and be castigating the character of my service chiefs, or our service chiefs. It's wrong. He will get that aspect of the foreign news or the fake news and then capitalize on it. What about this? Are they in the war front? If such people ask them, go there, they won't even go. Pay them millions and say, come and even go and be a correspondent or whatever. Go and be an eyewitness. They will not go.
Well, how do you correct something like this? For example, there are reports now that in Ohafia, where the youths attacked a police station over the killing of a youth and then burned the police station down and freed some prisoners, there are reports now that there are soldiers besieging the area and the people are living in fear. Is there a military formation sent to that place?
Listen, that one, you say, how do you... Now, the presence of military, on a week after, shortly after, a week after the lockdown, and then problem came up in Lagos and Ogun State, we did issue a directive, an advisory that, look, they should not panic at the presence of the military.
Just before we let you go, Premium Times is reporting that at least 10,000 soldiers have been killed since 2009 when this insurgency thing with Boko Haram started. They're also reporting that the families are not being well taken care of. For example, there's a Mr. Oji here who was with the army. I can't call out his number, but I can give you that after now. And his wife is complaining that after he died, she was compelled to process his benefits, and after that she only received salary payments for 2 months, and after that nothing else. Is that the normal practice with the military?
It's not a normal practice. The practice, you see, before I talk further, I question that report.
Which of them?
What you are talking about, that Mrs. Oji. I question it because if it went through the, you see, and somebody just forwarded it. I saw it even some days ago before I came here. And there is a procedure for confirming all this. However, have they followed the procedure? The very long write-up and stories. It did not come out through the traditional reliable media. It did not come out from News Agency of Nigeria. If it came out from those ones, I know that they would have done their due diligence to actually follow it. Now you are giving me a number. If you bring out the number, so I will say that, look, yes, I will answer the other part. It has to be confirmed. Is it a genuine army number? If it is genuine, then is it confirmed? Then where she's claiming in Ojo cantonment or Ojo whatever, they will have to check out that
Since
first.
you got this
now,
information,
but I will tell you that
since you got this information, have you gone through it?
it's not supposed to.
have
Yes,
you-
army will go through it. It's army. It's administrative. That I can tell you, the army is so meticulous about such a thing. So we have to be careful. But I assure you that the military does not treat their heroes, fallen heroes, with levity.
General, thank you so much for finding time to come
Thank you,
speak
my
with
dear.
us on Hard Copy.
Thank you.
Well, that's the program tonight, but we always want to hear from you, so please send us a message using the handles on your screen, and we'll expect that you would also find some of the videos of Hard Copy which you may have missed on our website, channelstv.com. Thanks so much for watching. I am Terry Ikumi. Good night.